human body is a fantastic machine. Optimizing the body to make it work on the highest possible level of efficiency in high-level sport definitely makes a difference when it comes to results, championships and success. We are very familiar what strength and conditioning in basketball means, what a mainstream trend when it comes to conditioning means. But can approach to rising the level of performance of athletes be different? Talking to Filip Mihajlović, head of performance in Hapoel Jerusalem Basketball Club, we understood that performance of individuals and of team means so much more than just a physical aspect of the body. His way blew our minds, and we saw a more complex approach to this role that we never saw before, by controlling and influencing the efficiency on a cellular level of a single athlete to influencing performance of a head coach. Controlling neural, emotional, cognitive, physical, biomechanical, energetical and biochemical aspects, understanding the basketball, managing the efficiency during the game, all of these can be and should be controlled in order to create the highest possible level of performance. As we said in the beginning, the human body is a fantastic machine, and physical aspect does not depend only on lifting weights, power, speed, aerobic or anaerobic aspects. We witnessed the stories of players, heard how their performance was changed by targeting other systems in the body, neural, limbic and specifically the immune system. Can you actually target physical performance by influencing the immune system? We learned that the answer is yes, and it is actually high priority. Meet Filip, the guy who sees and controls performance inside of a team on a totally different level and in a different way, and step into a new dimension of performance in sports.
I didn't understand it at first, but I had to be open-minded, and I realized it was the best thing that could happen to my career.
Honestly, it opened like my mind, my eyes, like in a totally different way than I ever seen before.
First I thought it was some voodoo stuff.
If you saw it, you wouldn't really understand it.
Take it out from your head and actually perform it.
It's almost like hypnotizing. I don't know how to describe it. Like,
He works a lot with the body, a lot with energy and stuff like that.
Every time he was touching a problem,
He does everything. He takes care of our bodies, our minds, like everything.
I'm a gazelle now, I feel like. You know, I'm able to get up and down the court, so.
Probably is the most important guy on our team.
Yeah, he's very stubborn. I hate him.
I mean, a magician creates magic.
Pure magic.
Pure magic.
When I come to a club with new players, I tend to listen and evaluate what is the level of knowledge and understanding and what is the level of motivation. So you cannot approach all the players with the same story. So I listen and I try to offer what they are capable to receive at the moment. So especially if you have players on a high level, like EuroLeague or NBA and also now BCL, becoming stronger and stronger the last couple of seasons, you have players like 28, 30, 32, they have a routine for the last 15 years. So if you try to change that routine, they're gonna refuse it. So how I approach it, I give them what they want. So like, okay, what do you want? I'll give you whatever you want. And then during the season, because the season is long, they go through different situations when they're gonna struggle physically, emotionally, physiologically, biochemically. And then I step in and say, can I try? And then I show them how faster it can be. And that is the moment that we create like a bigger trust, you know, like a special bond, like something differently. After that, they want to advise. You know, when you give them a reason, when you give them explanation that is simple, but it resonates with them, and they can like compare it last season or season before, they're gonna go that way for sure if you offer them like a logical explanation. If you say you have to do this, it's it's a wall.
Just the first day that I met him through text message, and we had a conversation, just a short conversation, because usually the fitness guys don't never text you. They don't never talk to you, never. I don't hear from fitness guys, but to me, it was like, this is just not about fitness. Like, you know, in football, it's like, oh, this player's an athlete because he can play receiver, because he can punt return, because he can play quarterback and play. That's how I feel this to me. Like, it's just not about a fitness. It's just not about a trainer. It's just about, like, he has so much to himself that is just different. Phil can take my ankles. Oh, I'm gonna put this stretcher tape on you. Oh, we're gonna work on this in the weight room. Oh, let's align your body. Oh, let's get this here together. Oh, you need to release this tension. Like, it's a lot of stuff. It's just not one thing, you know. So it's just not like a fitness guy. Like, it's just
He's not a fitness guy.
No, it's not a fitness guy.
Basically.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Listen, we are living in a world in our job that we care about performance. So you can imagine the guy that it's touching the performance and it increases that performance. He is the guy. He is the guy that you count on, that you rely on, that you go to him for fixing everything, for making you better. He's coaching us also, not only the players. So we also need to perform. It's not like people outside are looking at the players, which they are. Listen, they are the stars. We talk about the players, and I totally agree, but we need to perform. We're people. We need also to bring our better self every day, every moment. So he's there. He's coaching us in that way. We need to perform. He's improving our performance. I'm talking about myself as a fact. For sure, like, I believe it's the same, and I'm coaching that with coach, with the other assistant, with everyone.
I loved the G League guys that I worked with when I first started getting back on the court after my injury. Very knowledgeable guys, worked really, really hard with me, but there's just a different kind of understanding and a different recognition of the building blocks that need to happen before you go into the movements. You know, they have you go into the movements and kind of like start slow and build up. That's great, but if you're compensating with other muscles, then you're just creating an issue down the road and you're not fixing the real root of the problem. So Filip and his methods, going in at the base level and fixing the alignment, making sure your body's firing the right way, and then you can progress higher and higher and like go through that. It's entirely different from anything I'd experienced.
I feel like it's a different method. I feel like the normal fitness trainer is just, okay, this is what we learned, this is what we know, and we're just gonna do that. And it might not help with certain things that you're going through. Like, for instance, for me, my scar, like just lifting more weights and things like that, it's not gonna work. Like, you need to do actual things. Like I said, clean out the scar and stuff like that. And that's stuff that I learned along the way with Phil. So I think that's the biggest difference, like just actually going into depth and what's actually wrong with your body.
I've always been conditioned to lift heavy weights, push a lot, things like that. Filip is more so on how the body feels. It's a balance between doing explosive things and quick twitch things, small movements. It's not always about pushing a lot of weight. It's more so how the body feels, how you think, how it's aligned. Everything starts, really in the brain. And for me, I think that's been the biggest thing for me, is just sending messages to the rest of my body on what it can do, and just remembering and trusting the body.
So I was obsessed with finding the techniques that offer me to resolve problems as fast as possible. All kind of problems: neurological problem, emotional problem, hormone problem, virus problem, bacteria problem, like whatever influence performance in a player, and changing how the player functioning on the court. The idea of building a philosophy that you can change something instantly is something that I try to maintain as a value, because human body capacity is beyond our knowledge, how fast it can recover, how fast it can heal. So if we found what are the limitations of healing process and remove the limitations, body will heal instantly. So I witnessed like super miracle healing, like a bone fracture, and even healing in an hour, if you find like a good angle, like physics on a basics of physics. So I'm obsessed with it, trying to find like a primary dysfunction that you have.
A couple years ago, I had an ACL surgery. So I kind of get like little sensations in my scar and stuff like that. He's been helping with that like tremendously, 100%. So just he does a lot of little things here and there. He works a lot with the body, a lot with energy and stuff like that. And I tell him all the time, like, you really know what you're doing.
I mean, it was just different. It was very specific to each muscle group, how it worked together, how my leg was aligned, how my ankle was aligned. Like, it wasn't just, can you do a squat? It was, how does your body do a squat? How does your body move? What muscles are compensating for the main groups that should be, being used? And really having him teach me about, compensation and how your body's trying to like protect itself still because it went through a traumatic injury. And then relearning a pathway for your mind to build everything out. Like, I mean, his understanding of the body was just impeccable.
It's a lot he's doing differently. I kind of want to keep it a secret, but it's a lot he's doing differently. Just the muscles, the recovery, even the way we warm up, like as far as the way to prepare our bodies, different methods and stuff like that. The timing of stuff, the way we practice, the way we prepare, the way we just, like I always continue to say, just to focus. Everything is different because you don't get this on certain clubs, you know what I'm saying? Or certain clubs don't even understand what can get us in the best shape, rhythm, focus, ideas. It's everything that creates us to be the best we can on the court at a time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was telling him the other day that now when I watch basketball players or athletes, I look at their tendencies on how they run, or do they have a limp, or I can tell that something's not working with their ankle, or that knee is not working right. And before I never noticed, but just working with him, and you watch how athletes move and how they run, you can kind of tell now, where their deficiencies are, with their body movements.
Basically, somebody that I trust a lot, and I really, how to say that? I mean, rely on his work. As a team, I think that he's very important for us, in so many different ways. Because it's not what people usually think. When people say, "Hey, it's strength conditioning," or whatever it is, the title doesn't matter. He's doing way more things than that.
And to have that just kind of felt like that was what I needed the whole time. I'd been struggling with the injury and then still kind of like, even now still working through things, but to have somebody there the whole way that you just trust knows what's going on and knows the inner details of each part of it and can just tell you like, hey, you need to work on this, you need to work on that, we need to fix this, get rid of this dysfunction. And then even more than that, going through the emotional side of it, him paying attention so specifically to, you had a good game here and this is something that happened that day. And then you had a bad game and that didn't happen. And then like following those patterns, and then even just doing sessions for emotional trauma with him, where he just helps your body to process things and it takes a weight off of your shoulder. It's having somebody there to rely on you and take a lot of that onto himself too. Is like, I mean, it's unbelievable.
I've seen amazing things. That's why I keep telling you it's a fact. Like low back injury, ankle, knee, you can name everything. You can name everything, and it's better to ask players about this, but you also need to see the emotional part about this. Like how many problems are fixed performance-wise from the emotionally part also. Like it's not about injuries, about muscles only. It's about the mental thing, the emotional thing. And that's also like, it was a huge part of our success last year.
To give you an example of one player, not to mention name, just like to protect them, like a knee problem that was connected to emotional trauma that he had with the surgery. So how it functions. He do a single movement, like a change of direction or a squat or a split squat or a lunge, it doesn't matter. So he feels a discomfort in his knee. And you can see that the posture of doing the lunge is not good. So usually what do? We move the knee outside and we realign. My approach is okay, this is good, but it's not good enough because it's not like an instinct. It's not like a reflex. If you do it, if you offer a brain a good way to do it, he will do it as an instinct. You don't need to say, move your feet over there and step. The brain just do it. You know, if it's clean, if the body is clean of dysfunction, you step and that's it. You learn how to walk when you were little, and there is a pattern somewhere written. Why you change the pattern? Because you have other factors influencing that pattern. So if we remove those, you're gonna be able to move again. So we search what it is, and with that one player, we found that his emotional trauma creating a fascia. A fascia is like a layer of a muscle going also deep in the muscle and interconnecting everything, like super important. The emotion is creating a compression of a knee because it remembers the trauma of surgery was big, the trauma of scar was connected to emotion, and it's always compressed. So you can do it with knee whatever you want because the emotion is priority for the brain, like it's one of top priorities. Until you clean that, process that emotion, knee will stay compressed. So what do? We process the emotion, bam, knee decompressed. So that's one of the examples connected to emotion.
I think it was massive, and it's not just like, oh, he helped me with my knee, so then I could play. It was also taking care of emotional trauma that I hadn't dealt with before. You know, just every day at practice, if there's even something small that might, you know, when you have a traumatic injury, something small happens and you're just like, end of the world, my career's over. And having somebody to look at you and say, hey, I know what's going on, I see what's going on, I have you, it gives you so much confidence when you get on the floor because everything else just goes away and you can be solely focused. So having him with me, him and coach coming back was like a huge reason that I resigned, because I was talking to them like, hey, I need you guys here. If you're here, I'm here, because I still have more work that I want to do with you. So no, it was huge for me last year.
If it's a knee problem, then we're trying to understand where it comes from. Like, we don't treat the knee, we're trying to find, is it coming from an ankle or a hip or a breathing pattern, and then because the body is like a whole, functioning as one unit, intercrossing all the systems. Each of the systems the human body has can influence the knee. So how fast we can search and target the system that is causing the knee to have a problem. So what do we do by that? We touch the primary dysfunction and then like a domino effect, like super fast, knee is fixed. And it's fixed a long period of time. So we don't heal the knee, you feel better, and then in 7 days, again, you have the same problem, or you have it in a shoulder because you didn't clean the primary dysfunction. Sometimes primary dysfunction can be a liver. So like if liver is huge, inflamed, it will change the posture of a body. And then if you are changed, like moved, or your spine changed the angle, it will change how the legs are functioning. So maybe you're gonna have like a hamstring tear because of the liver. So if you don't heal the liver, you're gonna keep having the same problem.
Basically, it's like a method he uses where you just go in a quiet place, close your eyes, and then he just has you visualize. Like, you visualize for 5-10 minutes past traumas. He tells you to go to a certain place that you like, a certain place that you see, and then he gradually brings it along to the game. Now, visualize yourself on the court. Visualize the time that you had the best game ever in your life. And then he kind of brings it along like that. I did that last game. I think I finished with 17 points and the win. So, I mean, it helps a lot because visualization, that's a big part of the game. You have to visualize something so you can see it and then take it out from your head and actually perform it.
It's almost like hypnotizing. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I had never seen it before, you know, the type of work he does, but I feel that, you know, it could help a lot of athletes.
There was something that had been coming up from my past that I had just never really dealt with, and I just always kind of pushed it back and back and back. And it didn't really necessarily affect me on the court, but I had a teammate who I saw, he did an emotional session with Filip, or maybe a couple, I don't know. He doesn't share it, but he had a change in him on the court, a change in him in his personality, and like a weight lifted off of his shoulders. And so I went to Filip and I was like, hey, I want to do something about this. So I went to his apartment and he took the time to sit with me and just work through things, have my body process it, have my mind process it. And since that time, like this thing doesn't come back anymore. It doesn't hit me anymore. It doesn't break me down anymore. It's just a complete weight lifted off of your shoulders. And you can say it helps with performance because when you get rid of those things, you know, you have less to focus on. But just even for me as a person, as an individual, like it was something I couldn't be more thankful for.
I think the biggest thing is taking that imagination out of your head and actually making it a reality. So I think that definitely helps a lot, especially doing it right before the game like that. It definitely helps, but a lot of people don't do it. Like I haven't been on a team where the fitness trainer, or we don't really consider Phil a fitness trainer, but he's in that role. I haven't been on a team where people really do that.
Yeah, last season for me was just difficult. I won't say difficult, different for me as far as the approach to basketball on the basketball side. So it was a lot more thinking rather than reacting, you know, on the court. And that's different from what I was used to. So now I was able to see a game in a new light because I can think the next play or how to shift the defense and offense. So when you're used to playing a certain way and then you try to conform to play a new way, sometimes you have situations where you feel like you're not playing your best.
Philip found that I had a problem with the eyes, and it just helps me get the focus. It helps me align the body, helps me align the brain, even the breathing techniques with the eyes, and just helps me push the limits with the eyes. And it's just, for me, it was different. I remember the first game we did, it was against Hapoel Tel Aviv, and when we was playing for the Cup, so it was a game for us to go to the Cup championship. So that was the first time we did it, and probably had the greatest game I had at that point in the season.
What happens?
It was just, I can't explain it. But it just was like, we gotta do this every time. Every time, this is what we're doing. I'm going to the bitch at 14 on the clock, and we're getting to it. But man, like the breathing, the eyes, the pushing the limit to the eyes, and pushing the limit to the eyes is controlled by the breathing. It was just learning all that and continuing to learn it. It just puts me in the best way I can perform.
Before that Ike series, me and Filip, we were sitting in a dark room. It was more so, it wasn't too much talking as far as the method that we used. He did this thing, it was like I felt like he was tapping me on the shoulders, and we did some like snaps by the ear. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, tap, 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 tap. But the whole time I'm having to breathe. I'm breathing. That was the main thing, is to go through the breathing process. And he would ask me questions here and there just to remember or to think about this time, or to, how did you feel when this happened? Or what was the emotional experience you had when this happened? And so it was very minimal on him directing me or talking, but asking me how I felt. And asking, or me to tell him a time when I felt a certain way. But the whole time I'm breathing, eyes closed. We're going tap, 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 back and forth. And like I said, when I came out of it, I felt like re-energized. I felt like I had a new spirit over me. And I can remember him telling me, you're gonna kill this series. Like he told me, when it was over, he said, you're gonna kill it. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, we went through that series, and the rest is history.
We had the player last season, I'm not gonna mention his name. He had a super deep trauma and family trauma. And he's a solid player, but he couldn't keep focus during the game. And all his movements are like a split second late. And decision is a split second late because the body is always gravitating towards that emotion. So if he has a trigger of that emotion, and that trigger can be anything, it could be like thinking about a memory, it could be a sound, it could be a picture, it could be a smell, whatever triggers that emotion, he gravitates towards that emotion. He's late for a pass, he's late for a good positioning for a shot, he's way late for a breaking. So we did the processing, that was the first time in last season with the team I did it, like maybe somewhere in the middle of the season. And immediately on the evening game, I even sent a message like to the head coach, to assistant coach. I said, tonight you have a different player for sure. He went out, he killed like 30 points. Like, it's something that's beyond imaginable how efficient it is, like emotional performance. So, and with that, I combine another technique. It's also like a science fiction that you can upload any info about any player. Like player played the best game and it's connected to an emotion. So you can use that emotion as a like a line to the version of that player, like a high level performance, physically. So I'm not talking about principles of basketball, I'm talking about physically. So if you trigger that emotion in a player that is positive and upload it now in this moment, you instantly get physically the same player you had it in the past. And we witnessed that like 20 out of 20 times. It's like always is efficient. So it's like there is no single case that it didn't work.
With Phil and our practices and our routines, he knows that we're reach our peak. We're at our peak right now. We need to keep here so we can stay at our peak for a long time. Just the way that he describes things, it makes so much sense, because some teams that they don't understand that once you're going to the red, you might not be able to get back to where you want to get to. But Phil controls that to where, like, for instance, in the end of the game, I'm more prepared than I need to be because my energy is good, because Phil controlled my minutes through the game. At the end of the game, I'm in the best shape, I'm in the best focus I'm in, and I'm aligned to lead the team the rest of the way.
I don't want to sound like judging the others, but it feels like with Filip, you know where you're starting and when you're finishing. Right now, what I was even myself believing before, it was just like a small part of what is happening to the body. Now I know what is fully happening to the body, from inside out and the opposite, and like the brain, the hormones, the emotions, how everything is connected together. And it's like, I told you, totally new world for me.
I've tried to describe him, like when I talk with my family or friends about, like, yeah, my coach and then this guy, like physio. I mean, he's just, I try to say, like, he's the guy that takes care of our bodies, but like takes care of everything. I mean, he's talking about, your emotions, the entire field of practice, the level of the practice, the intensity going throughout a week up to a big game, even through multiple games. Okay, we have this opponent, and then this opponent's the one we're really focused on. So let's build the intensity throughout the week. And it's so difficult to describe him. Just I tell it, say, like, he does everything. He takes care of our bodies, our minds, like everything.
In many ways, we're similar. We can work together and we can, be successful together. But again, what he's bringing to the table, it's I really respect that. And him being the person as he is, like focused, disciplined, determined, ambitious. It's okay. I will keep it, even after this documentary that you guys are making.